Pricing your programs as a coach can seem like a high wire act where you're just balancing things too high and you scare off potential clients and too low and you undervalue your expertise. Today I'm going to break down the essentials of pricing your services as a full-time coach so that you can confidently charge what you're worth. Welcome back. This is Kevin. For the last decade, I've built high profit, high impact coaching businesses, and pricing is always a challenge that comes up. What do I charge for my services? What do those services include? It really can be just a guessing game where you've seen people out there, they're just pulling numbers out of the sky. It's valued at $9,997, and there's no evidence that that's the value at all. So I want to give you key essential ingredients that will help you confidently price your services based on what they're actually valued. And the first thing is to understand the value that you provide. And to do that, pricing is not just about the numbers. Just pulling numbers out of the sky is not going to cut it. You have to understand the value of the results that you bring, because people will pay for the results you bring. They're not going to pay for your process. They're not going to pay for the perceived value. They will pay for the actual results that you bring. And the way to do that is identify specific problems that you solve within your niche. And to quantify those values, you have to really speak in specific, tangible, understandable outcomes, like how much time did you save? How much income did you generate? How much was your stress reduced during this process? Those are all very tangible. I understand them. I want them. Now go back to your pricing structure and justify the price you charge. A good exercise for you to do is go back and create a value statement for each service that you provide. That value statement should clearly articulate the outcome your clients will achieve. Next, you have to research the market. Now, I know comparison mode is going to come up for some people. I do so much more than they do. Hey, I get it. I understand that. But we're talking about business here. And when we talk about business, there is a market for your business. So you want to understand your market. What are other coaches that are doing similar things to me? What are they charging? What is the perceived value? It doesn't mean you charge what they charge. It just means you've got to understand where you fit in the world. Now, you don't want to be a race to the bottom and be the cheapest on the market. There's actually more argument to be the most expensive than there is to be the cheapest. But here's what I know. If you're the second cheapest, no one's going to choose you. That's why you have to understand the market and do your market research. They're charging X number of dollars. What's included in that offer? Who's it for? What problems are they solving? What outcomes do I get? How does that compare to what I'm doing? Am I clear enough on my outcomes? Am I not presenting my outcomes in a way that they are? How come they sold 100 of their offer here and I only sold 4? So that's why market research is very important, so that you can understand where your brand position is in the market. And as you're doing this, it's inevitable to feel like you're comparing yourself to others, but consider your own expertise, your own experience. Consider your value. Consider the outcomes you've already gotten. I certainly look at other people's business models and their offerings, and I go, oh, that's really cool. I like that. And they're charging a lot less than me. But because of my experience and my testimonials and my expertise, I can charge more for a similar outcome with a different niche. It's just about understanding where you fit in the market, and if you're missing something in your offer or in your communicating your value, that's all we're looking for here. Next, I want you to consider choosing the right pricing model. Now, there's a lot of different models in there. You can charge by the hour, which I don't necessarily recommend for an experienced coach. You can charge by the package, or you can be value-based. There's a lot of different ways to go about choosing the right model. I typically lead towards the program pricing model and the value-based pricing model when I'm looking at my value ladder. So let's quickly run down the pros and cons. The hourly, obviously, it creates a inconsistent income for you as the business owner. It creates inconsistent results as a client. That's kind of why I don't like it. It's because they are only going to sign up when they think they need it. And as we all know, by the time you think you need it, you've needed it for 3 weeks. The package and program-based model typically provides a little more perceived value to the client, meaning they think they're getting a lot more for their dollar than otherwise. It also gives you some stability from an income and revenue perspective. And with value-based pricing, there are 2 arms of value-based. It's obviously price, lower price is a perceived higher value, but there's another one that I like the most, which is a pay for the outcome. The value is based on the outcome that you charge, which allows you to charge a premium. So one is the low cost, maybe entry level offer, maybe group sessions or whatever. And the other one is when your value is focused strictly on the outcome and it allows you to charge higher rates. So those are 3 different pricing models you could choose, but you've got to know where you sit with each of those. You can't just, here's my price, that's it, and not know why you chose that. So choose your pricing model very carefully, because it will determine what happens a year from now in your business. The 4th thing seems so simple, but it's really just test your prices. Run it by current clients. Run it by people in your market. Run it by ideal clients. What do you think about this? Is this a good value? Would you buy this? Those are all great questions. So you really don't know. If I sit in this room and just think about my pricing of X number of dollars for this thing, I don't know if that's a good deal or not because I'm in it. But if I present it to the world and people go, oh my gosh, I would never pay that much for that, or oh my gosh, that's a steal. You've got to create that balance. But the way to really come to that conclusion is by testing it out in the public market. And the last thing, when it comes to pricing your services effectively, it really comes down to how you communicate your value. I see a lot of experienced coaches and they don't do a great job at communicating their value, which puts a ceiling on what they're able to charge. If there's one area of growth that we can consistently focus on, it's how do we communicate this new value or reiterate an old value that we're bringing to the table. How do we communicate that? That will be the difference of whether people buy. If you're launching a high ticket program, say north of 20K per year for your coaching, what is the value of that high ticket offer? What is the outcomes that we will get over the course of the year? What are the milestones? What experiences will we have? That all generates the perceived value for the client that will say yes to that. And there are really two key parts in communicating your value. It really is the outcomes that your clients will get, number one, which we already talked about. And number two, using testimonials as your anchor in that perceived value. People will buy based on what other people say more than what you say. That's just fact. Go to any coach's website who's doing north of $500,000 a year in sales. You're going to see a lot of testimonials on their page, unless they're famous and they don't need those testimonials anymore. It's just understood. They've written the New York Times best-selling book. They're on the podcast. They're whatever they're doing. It's understood that they know what they're doing. So a good way to get a snapshot of this is create a PDF that has your pricing and the services included within that pricing structure, and then zoom out on that a little bit and go, wow, is that worth it? Show it to people. Do you think that's worth it? That's a great way to assess whether your pricing has value and whether you're communicating that value properly. So there's a big difference between a coaching business and a thriving coaching business. And the real difference is thriving coaches often revisit their pricing structure, their pricing models quite often to see if there's more value they could add to charge higher prices, if the market has outpaced their prices, or if they're too high, too low. Those are all things that you need to consider constantly as a CEO, founder, executive coach, whatever you call yourself, to really thrive as you grow to the next level. If you found these strategies helpful, I'd like you to give me a like on this video and then consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to do more of these all the time, every week. And after you do that, go to the comments. What are the challenges you're facing in your pricing right now? Are you not selling enough of a certain program or course? Do you think your price too low? Do you think your price too high? Are you charging what you're worth? Put in the comments what you're struggling with right now, and let's see if we can get a roundtable discussion going about how we might solve that with you. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Kevin, founder of Nextcrest Consulting. And remember, pricing is not just about the numbers. It's about the value, perceived value, and the results you bring in your clients. And we want to revisit that often so that we can stay relevant in our current market. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.